What's up YouTube? This is going to be your guide on how to use Lugia in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun me movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section. If you enjoy these, they help you out, drop a like, and let's get into it. So our first Lugia set here is going to be a Tanky Dragon Tail phasing set. Now this Pokemon has absolutely insane bulk, so it's going to be very, very useful on many different teams. So we've got 134 in defense and 154 in special defense. It even has a pretty good speed stat of 110. We've got 106 of speed. Its offensive stats are quite low, but it doesn't really need to have those. And it has ways to make them higher as well if it really needs to. It has a Psychic and Flying type, which isn't all that bad. And we've got the ability Multi-Scale on a Pokemon, which is already like crazy bulky already. So they supplement each other very, very well. It also has Pressure as well, but most of the time you're going to see Multi-Scale being used. It's just better. So this set is based around having a Pokemon with, say, entry hazards on the field. Like Stealth Rock or like a Ting Lu, and you can have this Dragon Tailing set sort of phasing through the team. You can also have Whirlwind as well. So let's check it out. So we got Heavy Duty Boots as the item, more so in singles because this Pokemon will be swapping in to take a lot of hits and swapping out. So it's going to be essential to have that item. You could also run something like Leftovers on there, but Boots is pretty good for it. You could also have Rocky Helmet too. That's another good item to have on Lugia. So we've got Dragon Tail, which is a good move there at just swapping a random Pokemon out and doing a bit of damage. So it works great with moves like Stealth Rock, Spikes, etc. Even Toxic Spikes if you want to poison them. It has Recover, which is an excellent recovery move. But when you use Recover, you need to make sure you use it only when you have to, because you've only got 8 PP, and once it loses a recovery, it virtually just becomes a big wall just to basically chip down, and it doesn't have anything like Regenerator like Ho-Oh, so just use Recover when you absolutely need to conserve Lugia, using Lugia. Now, you've got an option of flying moves here. You've either got Air Slash or Aeroblast. Aeroblast has good base power for sure. The only thing about it, when you're running more of a tanking stalling set, you want more PP on your attacking moves because generally you only have 1 or 2 attacking moves. So I'm going to suggest running Air Slash on there. It also has a chance of flinching too on top of that, whereas Aeroblast is 8 PP and raw power, right? We've got 100 power and that's it, So 100 power versus 75 power, but this has a lot more PP. It's got 24 PP versus 8. So installing Pokemon, it's best to have a little bit more PP. Rather, rely on your teammates to do the damage, right? You've got a bit of a fillering sort of move for the last one. Body Slam isn't all that bad because you can spread paralysis with it, which could be useful on a support style Pokemon. So you could have that. You could have like Ice Beam as well. Ice Beam's just good in general for coverage, so you could have Ice Beam. That kind of works as well. There's quite a lot. There's like Psychic Noise isn't too bad as well. Psy Shock. There's some other moves that it can get as well. You can even try trapping sets with Whirlpool. They can work too. But using that with Dragon Tail isn't always that good because you're sort of getting rid of them. So it might be better to pick a different move to Dragon Tail if you're going to trap in there, or do some damage and then Dragon Tail them out of there. Whirlpool can be good if there's Toxic Spikes though, so that can work good for those types of things. So maybe you could even go, this might be a bit gimmicky, but you could do Grip Claw on there. So Grip Claw will make Whirlpool last for a bit longer, but that could be a little bit gimmicky and such like that. So this is definitely more of a single style set. EVs. My EVs are a little bit more different than they normally are for single sets. So we got Max Health, of course. We got 120 defense and 104 in special defense with Calm Nature. This gives it all good bulk. You could do a little bit more defensive bulk if you like. If you feel like, oh, its special defense is already really good, I don't need any more on that, sure. Go for a full defensive build here. You could do, instead of calm, you just straight up do impish, which gives it a fat defensive stat. You could drop but you could drop back and give it careful to give it a little bit more all-round bulk there. As the special events might get a little bit low if you're taking repeated super effective attacks. This will give it all-round bulk too. So whatever's going there for what you need on your team. As for Terra types, there's a few it can run. One of Lugia's biggest weaknesses is stuff like Toxic. So I feel Terra Steel makes a good defensive type on it. That way you can get around any Toxic users, because they do shut Lugia down, definitely. That's one of its big weaknesses. Any status moves. Another good one could be Fairy's not a bad defensive type either, along with Steel. I was thinking of other good defensive types, so Fairy could be a good option. And being a flying type, you might be worried about getting paralyzed or hit by electric type moves, so you could go ground. The only problem with Terra Ground is you're still going to get hit by ice type moves. So I say Steel and Fairy are going to be better defensive types in my opinion. So that's how I'd run a tank Lugia there. Just Dragon Tail spam. Like I said, you can have Whirlwind as well. If you feel like, oh, I don't want a Fairy type coming in or whatever. I want to be able to phase Steel without that. Use Whirlwind then. Like, it's kind of like Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh has Whirlwind and Recover too. So that's how I'd run the first sort of set here. Now, now let's have a look at this next set here. This is going to be a Calm Mind variant of Lugia. So Lugia can run a bulky Calm Mind sweeping set. This can actually work in doubles too. You can run Lugia as a Calm Mind sweeper in doubles and singles. So we've got Rocky Helmet as the item, a multi-scale as the ability, max health, max defense, bold nature. So we got that really fat defensive stat, which works well with Calm Mind, because Calm Mind is boosting your special defense and special attack already. So we don't need to worry about putting EVs into special defense at all. So Calm Mind, that we've got that. Earth Power is very, very good for air coverage for Steel type Pokemon. You won't have a lot of coverage if you don't put that on there, or you'll get walled. Stuff like Goldengo could be annoying. Any Steel type Pokemon, right? Now, I like running Psychic Noise on there. That you can run Psychic as well. You can run Psyshot. I just like running this it's probably more prevalent in singles, because this stops any healing for 2 turns, and it could be good. Like, once you've got your Calm Minds going, you can spam Psychic Noise there as well, which is going to be quite handy, stopping any Pokemon healing and such. Speaking of healing, we can also put Recover on there too. So that sort of puts you down to 2 attacking moves, but it can work because you can pretty much hit everything. You've got Psychic. The only thing that doesn't hit is Dark. And then it doesn't hit Steel, very effective, but you've got Earth Power to hit Steel for super effective, and Earth Power can still hit Dark type. So that's going to be definitely sort of useful. Plus, you can use Earth Power against other Psychic types too. So that works rather nicely as a Calm Mind sweeper. Once again, you could definitely run this for doubles as well, but this could work for singles. Ground Terra type for Earth Power, powering it up a bit, and you could run. For singles, you could run Heavy Duty Boots on there as well. That would still work. That would still be fine. Or you can run Rocky Helmet, because you're not boosting your defense already. So, say if you come across a Pokemon that's physically a physical attacker and they try using Sword Dance again, well, you're going to get punished. The first multi-scale Rocky Helmet won't be nice, so that could be useful. And by that time, you might have, 2 Calm Minds up already, right? So that's how I'll go about using Lugia. Virtually mostly in singles. Let's have a look at some double sets now. This is almost exactly the same as the set that I just showed you before, but you can use some different moves and different items. And I'm going for a little bit of a different Terra on this one as well. So we have got Aero Blast. You could run Air Slash as well. I'm going for more of a sweeping set here. So we got Aero Blast, 100 base power, also has a high 1 chance of critting, a 1 stage of critting, and Earth Power. So same as the last set there that we're talking about, able to hit Steel types and such like that. So it's going to be useful at Earth Power. Also has a special defense chance too, even though it's a small one. Recover for obvious reasons, you recover yourself off, and Calm Mind multi-scale. So weakness policy and multi-scale go hand in hand together. So you can definitely run a weakness policy Lugia and live the attack. If the main thing here, you want to have that multi-scale, right? So you need to make sure you're at full health before you get hit by a super effective. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but it's preferred. You can still live attacks though. Lugia is so bulky, you can live attacks and still get the weakness policy up. But definitely, if you're at full health and they bring in a counter Pokemon, they're going to go for a super effective move. That's generally the best time to get that weakness policy off there. Okay, so this one's Terra Normal. I just did that because that means it's only weak to fighting, and a fighting type is not going to like coming into an Air Blast. So that's a great defensive typing in my opinion. You could do some other ones like Terra Ground as well, Terra Fairy, defensive ones. But with Terra Normal, you're only weak to fighting, and I think that's pretty good, actually. So, yeah, we got Max Health, Max Defense, Bold Nature, same sort of EVs. That's going to work very, very well for sure. And you can run some allies with that too that will help you out, with that. So maybe some support allies. Lugia can be taunt bait, so it's good to have other Pokemon that can get around those taunting users and shut them down while you try and set up. But I'll go through more of that in a little bit after these sets here. So let's have a look at the next one. So this next Lugia set is a little bit different. We've got it as a Tailwind setter. So Lugia's got 110 base, which is pretty good because after a single Tailwind, you're going to outspeed pretty much every single Pokemon, which is going to be good. It actually gets Psych Up, which isn't all that bad because there's a lot of boosted energies around and setup moves, and that could be useful to put onto a bulky Lugia. That would give it some extra. It might be a special attack boost from boosted energy. It might be a speed boost. It could be useful to copy those stats. Bit more of a gimmicky move though. I've got Air Slash on here because this is more of a tanky set, and we might be able to get some flinches going with Tailwind, while my ally is going to be doing all the damage, and we've got Recover as well. Now, I've got Terra Fairy on this. We've got Terra Fairy, Terra Normal, any of those defensive, Terra Steel, any of those defensive Terras are going to work best. Covert Cloak is pretty important on this set because you're not going to be affected by any secondary status, which a set like this is quite vulnerable to. So if you don't get your Tailwind up, that might be bad, right, for the rest of your team. So I feel like that item works very, very well on these sort of, support style sets. Max Health, Max Defense, Calm Nature. So giving us some all-round bulk again. You can do Bold Nature as well if you want even more defense. There's nothing wrong with that. It's crazy. The crazy amount of bulk this Pokemon actually has is absolutely insane. So that's about it for that. Let's check out the next set. So it's interesting that Lugia can somewhat be a sweeper in the rain. So if you've got a rain team, maybe with Kyogre, you could take the opponents off guard. I reckon this would work really well with Water Spout Kyogre. Why? Because it's going to set up the Drizzle, and then you could set up Tailwind to help out the Water Spout Kyogre. Plus, that'll make you speedier, and then you'll be able to do some good damage as well. And it's actually got all the moves that work in a rain team too. The only thing is, its special attack it's not like a really super, super hard hitting Pokemon. So you're going to have to go all out with the highest base power moves, which works in the rain too. But still, it's probably not going to be completely one-shotting everything, but it's going to do some good damage. So we've got Hurricane, which you'd probably never ever use on Lugia except in the rain. So we've got 110 base power, 100% accurate in the rain. Thunder's going to be excellent. Once again, 100% accurate, which is going to be kind of nice there. And then we've got Weather Ball. So Weather Ball is going to be a water type move. So that's going to be useful in the rain and hitting pretty hard too. So there you go, a rain Lugia. And I reckon I've tried this out before, and it actually worked. And it took some people by surprise. I've got Damp Rock on there only because I could set my own rain up. If that wasn't the case, I would put a different item on there. I'd probably put something like... Ooh, you could put Mystic Water on there to boost up your water type move. You could put Sharp Beak on there to boost up your flying type move. There's other things like that you could run on there. You could, if you're afraid of getting taunted, you could put Mental Herb on there. I guess that's an item that could work. Covert Cloak, you could do that. That could work. I'm just trying to think of some other ones that are... Oh, a good move on here as well. You could even put safety goggles on there as well. I'm trying to think of some other good items on there. You could even have something like... Oh, I guess you could have... If you really want to power up your electric type move, you could put magnet on there. That could be something, but... Any of these things are going to be useful for you. Or citrus berry on there, or leftovers, that would work. I think I might go covert cloak on that one, because getting your tailwind up is pretty important. Or amulet that could work on there too. So just another way of running Lugia, right? On a rain team, either singles or doubles. I think this will work better in doubles, because if you've got Kyogre setting up the rain, Kyogre can then spam water spout while you set the tailwind, or Kyogre could... You wouldn't have to run Kyogre with the choice scarf, right? You could give it protect. Something like, something like that would be useful. Let's have a look at a nice Piplup special set, and we'll go over some counters and some teammates and thoughts. So we got a physical Lugia here, a Piplup special. So I thought I'd give it a try and see what we could come up with here. So we got a Jolly Lugia, max attack and max speed. That's a pretty good speed stat too for Lugia. So we've got Waterfall. We're going for flinching moves here, all flinching moves. So we've got Waterfall, Zen Headbutt, Sky Attack, and we've got Acrobatics. So we're doubling up on the flying moves here. So we've got Sky Attack activating a 1-turn with Power Herb. It also has a high crit, flinch, 30% chance to flinch, and a 1 stage of critical hit. And then after I've used that, I can use Acrobatics at full base power. Coming off Lugia's very, very average attack stat, it's probably not going to be the hardest hitter, so you're probably more likely just to annoy the opponent by going for flinches and stuff like that. But if you wanted to, you could always give it recover, but you might have to get rid of acrobatics and stuff like that, which probably wouldn't be as viable, I reckon. Or you could even go Terra Water as well with Waterfall. That could be useful. So Waterfall will be a bit more powerful and stuff like that. Anyway, a fun set there. I gave it pressure as well. They're going to be really under pressure when they see this set. And there we go. Let's have a look at some partners and counters and stuff that will be useful. So let's go over counters first, I think. So any Pokemon that can poison, that's gonna be a big problem. So any Pokemon that can lay a poison down on Lugia is gonna be in a bit of trouble. That is for sure. So any poison Pokemon at all. Probably not Glimora. Most of the time it just relies on its ability. But Toxic, right? Toxic's gonna shut it down. Absolutely. So any of those type of ones there, let's go Petrun, I guess. Actually, Petrun would be pretty good. So Petrun with Toxic is going to shut that down. So Lugia, once it's poison, is not really that viable. That's why I suggest on these tank sets to run Steel. I do see a lot of defensive sets say, oh, Fairy and that sort of stuff. Like, Steel's pretty good because Lugia's Toxic bait, right? Another good Pokemon would be... Whimsicott would be kind of nasty for it. And the reason I say that is because Whimsicott has Taunt, Prankster Taunt, and it also has Encore as well. Now, Lugia absolutely despises Taunt and Encore. So anything like that shuts Lugia down. It can't do jack, right? It could go for an Aeroblast or Air Slash, but there's other Pokemon than Whimsicott, you know. So any Taunt or Encore Pokemon are going to be shutting Lugia down. It's pretty much all of its sets will get shut down by that. Unless it's like a fully sweeping one, you know. That's going to be about it. So that's a good way of shutting this Pokemon down. Absolutely. That's what I would do for sure. I'm trying to think of some other... It doesn't actually have a lot of counters. It really doesn't, because it's such a bulky Pokemon. Very, very bulky. Any phasing Pokemon could be a problem about it too. Let's say any Stealth Rock. Say if there's Stealth Rocks on the field, you know, say if there's a Stealth Rock up on the field, like Blissey or something like that had Stealth Rock up on the field, and then it was able to, then they had a Phaser on their team as well. That would probably mess, more so in singles, that would mess up Lugia because its multi-scale would be broken. And then, it would get hit initially a lot harder for it tried to heal up or, you know, whatever move it was going to use. Some good teammates here for that. Zacian makes a good teammate. Zacian definitely makes a good teammate because it gets around its counters and it can bust through a lot of those taunt and encore users. So that would make a very, very good partner for it for sure. I'm trying to think of some. That's actually probably one of the best ones. It really is. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Another good one as well is Toxapex. This is like a disgusting combination as well, like Toxapex and Lugia. So that's kind of, you know, with Regenerator. Actually, I haven't done a Toxapex guide, so I'll probably do that eventually. So that's a good counter as well. But if Toxapex gets shut down, or there's like maybe a Steel type along with it as well, that could be good. I was thinking a Steel type. Maybe Heat Ram. Like Heat Ram could be a good partner. That could be nice. Another good, I think I mentioned this already. Ting Lu's pretty good as well. Ting Lu can make a good partner for Lugia. So there's a couple there for you. Any real powerful Ice type Pokemon? I'm trying to think. Like Baxcalibur would be pretty good. A D-Dance Baxcalibur, but the only thing is it has to watch out for Lugia when it uses Whirlwind and stuff like that, the Whirlwind Dragon Tail variant. So has to watch out for those sort of things there. You know, that would be. But any taunt Pokemon can shut it down, or a Pokemon that can taunt and then create a sweep. That could be dangerous as well. So taunt, encore, toxic, those sort of things really do shut Lugia down. To the point where it really can't do a lot of damage, and then it's kind of useless. Then, you know. Definitely useless. Regieleki's not too bad. I was just thinking about Regieleki. So Regieleki can be pretty good there. Any of its electric moves are good. It's fast. It can Volt Switch and it can do like lots of damage to Lugia like over time and put it down low. That's quite a good Pokemon too. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Giratina would be kind of a nasty counter as well. So Giratina, it's very bulky and it can spread status to Lugia. That could be definitely another one as well. There's quite a few of them, depending on what rules set you actually play. You know, King Gambit would be pretty good as well as a physical attacker. This could chop through Lugia for sure. So that's another good counter for Lugia as well. So some good ones there. If you've got any other movesets for Lugia you've got, let me know for sure. That would be good. But I think that's pretty much it for Lugia, how to counter and stuff. Like I said, it doesn't have too many counters. It's just so like fat in its stats. Like super fat. Let's have a quick look at its moves. And last sort of minute thoughts here. I think many people are using pressure. They're always going to use multi-scale. So we've gone over Calm-Mind Sweeper. You could do Reflect and Light Screen on it too. That would just be crazy overkill, I think, with you know, Light Screen, Reflect, Recover, and I don't know, Air Slash or something. You could do that, but it's so bulky anyway. I don't think you'd need to do that. If you wanted to, though. You could do like a full-out special attacking set with Trick, maybe. Like Aeroblast, Psychic, Trick. Something like that might be viable. We sort of went over it being a support tank with Helping Hand and stuff. You could counter it with Imprison. It does get counter, so that could be a good one. It also has Skill Swap too, so you might be able to do some shenanigans with Skill Swap and Multiscale if you want to swap that to another Pokemon. So that could be something you could try out as well if you want to give a Pokemon, you know, maybe Slaking. You could trick your Multiscale to Slaking or something. I don't know, like get rid of its ability. Physical moves, there's only a few of them. You're probably not going to use them anyway. Probably the one that we've seen the most is going to be like Dragon Tail. The rest of them you're not going to see very often. Let's have a look at its special moves. It does get a lot of special moves. Aeroblast, you'll probably see a lot on it. Air Slash, both of these flying moves are pretty good. You could try an Ancient Power Sweeper, but you'd have to get very lucky. I mean, if it did get a boost, it'd be very hard just to faint in general. You got Chilling Water, which could be another alternative to a bulky set, dropping the opponent's attack. That could be interesting. You got Extra Sensory on there. That could be good for flinching. Yeah, it's got a reasonable speed stat. Does get Giga Drain, Psychic Noise. That's not too bad on there. I don't mind that. Shadow Ball has maybe some coverage, but there's not too much more here. You might be able to make like a bulky Charge Beam set, but you're probably better off using Calm Mind. You might be able to make use of Air Cutter and doubles, hitting both of them. We've sort of gone over a Whirlpool trapping set. You could try that too, but that's pretty much it for Lugia. Lugia is an absolutely insane tank and can be quite hard to, very, very hard to stop if you don't have a way of shutting it down, either Taunt, Toxic, Encore, or outside of getting rid of it for a cover PP. And that's about it. Very, very strong Pokemon you could fit on any team. That's about it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this one. Leave a comment if you want me to cover a Pokemon. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, found it helpful, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.